Welcome to your magical moon message. This is the Peace Dealer. The moon is in Libra, the sun is in Virgo. We are activating this 30 to 60 degree angle from the sun. 0 degrees to 30 degrees is the conjunction. That's the Aries signature that activates any transit between any two planets or luminaries. 30 degrees to 60 degrees extends this activation through the Taurus signature by now manifesting what we've activated. And then 60 to 90 degrees finalizes this activation by, of course, expressing the potency of what's been activated, the quality of what the 30 degree manifested, so that through this expression, we can begin integration at 90 degrees. Integration is 90 degrees to 180 degrees of the full moon, where we begin to harvest. In terms of this Virgo new moon, activation is the Virgo new moon, the moon in Libra, and the moon in Scorpio. With that being said, we have effectively activated this firmware update that is new behavioral patterns, new critical perspectives, new analysis, and this subconscious understanding is now applying the last 2 days of the initiation of changing your behavior and activating a new lifestyle. And it is applying how you are beginning to behave to take socially balanced action through the moon in Libra that will apply cardinally the Virgo mutable moon of practice and consistency to now be presented. So the Libra moon is not only giving us a balanced social understanding, but it's going to begin to help us understand what we are presenting and what we are empowering relative to the application of us beginning to create these new habits. So this is literally like the first step. Of course, the activation series from 0 to 90 degrees, I always like to say, is like preparing the board, preparing your meal, getting the ingredients out. If you're cooking up beats, getting the instruments, synths, drum patterns, and all the instruments you want to use. 90 degrees to 180 degrees is where, of course, we start to put all these ingredients together. All right. And of course, at this stage, the moon in Libra is activating the cardinal power that will drive forward the development and establishment of this new perspective. So, unlike the Aries moon, that is more a self-focused understanding of your identity, the Libra moon wants you to bridge that understanding relative to how you hold your individuality and bridge it to others, the society around you. And the immediate opposition to Saturn and Neptune in the beginning of Aries hold you accountable to making sure in the nature of balancing yourself and activating these new patterns, you still maintain integrity of this reimagination of your character. The authority that comes with actually practicing what you preach without losing your individuality, appealing to others. It's very important, once again, to understand with the mutable transit, the cardinal signs, like I mentioned before, not only push forward this perspective, but there's an active manifestation of these new techniques that are beginning to develop. So let's just say that new moon, the sun and moon in Virgo, is you analyzing, how would I really get this done? Right? And the moon in Libra is, all right, now let's take a step. Because when the moon is in Scorpio, we're going to strengthen these actions, and it's going to activate wisdom that begins to transform these behaviors. Okay. That being said, I do get the sense that there is superpowered understanding, given that Libra is a social superpower, that will bring you a very potent feel relative to yesterday, where the moon entered Libra, and the rest of today, where it's going to continue, that will have you feel a drive of moving forward, have you actually feel like you're going somewhere with how you are beginning to behave and form these patterns. Once again, as well, whereas we activate new abilities or magic spells every Gemini season, Virgo is where we turn those spells into techniques. Jutsu. For my Naruto fans, you are developing new jutsus. And the moon in Libra is going to help you begin to activate what about how you perform these jutsus actually help adjust the balance necessary between you and others. Are you stepping too into it? Are you not doing it enough? This, once again, not only prepares us for the moon in Scorpio, but now taking into account the grand air trine with Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini, this social understanding is aided by the innovation of our thought process, inspiring us with unique ideas that help us think outside the box, and which you're challenged to, while Uranus is still squaring the sun in Virgo, so that you can implement this innovation in the development of these new habits. But all of that innovative social understanding now intensifies through Pluto and Aquarius to add more extremely to this awakening of higher knowledge, which is very vague to say, because the Pluto and Aquarius now breaks us through outside of everything we've already discovered, and collectively, everything we've already collectively discovered, as we are, of course, awakening greater extraordinary understanding of the supernatural, extraordinary awareness of the cosmos. And I would say a lot of themes that are out of this world, that as Pluto continues to move through Aquarius, will enable us to gain, of course, higher knowledge through such, so that with Uranus and Gemini, we find radical ways to actually put this into words, and then you will understand in Libra how to bridge these ideas and communicate them with other people. That's going back to Pluto, strengthening that collective conscious connection. All right. Especially with Mercury and Venus, that are, of course, opposite Aquarius. Venus is still going to come out of Cancer, but as it goes into Leo, this is going to strengthen and polish everything we activated last month relative to these new talents. And Mercury is heating up our brain's processing to wrap our brains around mastering more these talents, while we master integrating these talents into our behavioral patterns and lifestyle. Mars is in Libra. This, albeit being in its detriment, the altruistically focused action orientation coinciding with the moon in Libra, while we manifest these new patterns, are going to give us a direct understanding of what actions we want to take And with who? Ooh. And of course, taking into account Jupiter in Cancer that is actively evolving our psychic ability, the power of your mind, psyche, this is going to challenge us to not let this boost of emotions bleed through our interactions with others. So that even though have the capacity to feel more, we still balance how well we integrate this re-up of emotions towards others. Namely, every time the moon conjuncts Jupiter every 28 days, you're re-ing up from the plug, okay? And you're going to take it to the streets, social, in Libra. You're understanding that foundation that not only begins to integrate this social understanding of where to place these enhanced feelings, but this is going to prepare you for the moon in Scorpio that is going to fully express the deeper intensity of how purely you can feel these enhanced emotions. Once again, like I said before, if you treat this like you are putting together everything you've learned since the past 6 months, we are harvesting and breaking through these beliefs through the Pisces eclipse to form behavioral patterns around. And as the moon in Libra drives forward the actions necessary to gain potency relative to what you've committed you're going to do, of course, every day for the next 28 days, this is going to not only once again help you understand the force needed to sustain this forward, but to balance necessarily how it is to sustain said routines. So look forward to unexpected breakthroughs. And I think what's also somewhat significant is in coming into a more logical, analytical understanding and awareness of how to make real sense of supernatural facets and qualities of what you're already doing in your life. This is going to begin to change how it is you look at and analyze everything you've already been experiencing. Turns out maybe a lot of what you're intending and looking for, you've already made happen a long time ago. You just have to change the way you're looking at things so the things you look at change. And you don't have to worry about how. August 31st, when the moon is in Sagittarius, you will begin to see how everything is beginning to integrate. Okay? Once again, I highly do advise practicing the law of assumption. It doesn't matter if what it is you are affirming or thinking you believe or you even feel is real versus being willing to think as if you have already made it happen, as if you already have it. And this does not have to be done by repetitive, vain statements, as opposed to every time this appears in your mind, you reinforce that logic with what you've decided you have now and not waver. In balancing the integrity of you standing in who you are as having that and continuing to think in this way, with that trine to Uranus in Gemini, you could look forward to not only communications sparking more inspiration for you to step forward into this, but already start to see and experience all this manifest through your habits. You can also apply this to whatever mundane activity and routines you are already doing. Like if you're going to work, if you're driving, and before you do everything you do, affirm or remind yourself what it is you have, right? Before you drink water, I have insert, boom, I'm doing insert, boom, do whatever you do. And it's the small, consistent repetition you, of course, now bring into your day that adds more reality to this. Gemini is going to be just the thoughts, focusing on your mindset and attitude and thinking in a certain direction, developing a certain attitude and mind state. But now Virgo applies that thought towards literally anything you do. So let's say you are wanting to, of course, live the life of your dreams. And you don't necessarily have to get stuck in daydreams just wishing it would happen. Use what you're already doing every day. Before you talk to someone, make an internal note. I'm living my dream life. Go and talk to them. Before you drink some water, damn, it feels good to live my dream life. Drink the water. You are now literally aligning every single action you take as a part of your routine with this simple prayer. Pray without ceasing. Affirmation. Thought. It's as simple as that. But I think what's also very profound is relative to this subtle shift that is starting to pick up. You don't necessarily want to give in to any anxiety. I'm not going to say don't be negative, bro, but definitely keep in mind what emotions are yours and what may be projected towards you, especially with the moon in Libra, that makes you a lot more receptive to social dynamics rather than your own personal feelings. And this is where, with that opposition to Saturn and Neptune, you don't necessarily want to allow the need to balance with others to strip away your individuality, where it's about balancing both. Being willing to compromise with others without compromising on your own integrity. Honestly, you do that, you'll be straight. Other than that, we will reconvene on the next Magic Moon message when the moon is in Scorpio. And based on the actions you understand you are cardinally pushing forward with the moon in Libra, this will provide the basis with which we will deepen psychoanalytically the wisdom. And that's where things are going to really start to get fun. And you will start to understand how your behavior is actively transforming. So look forward to really stepping forward and moving from the realm of just analyzing how to actually taking action and experiencing the potency of these techniques manifesting. This is going to provide the consistency needed for you to actually see the real basis of not only what new habits you're applying, but its supernatural quality. It's especially going to ring true for some of you who've had breakthroughs of unique psychic abilities, mundane abilities, anything that you've been wanting to really learn how to do at will. And maybe you may have experienced, oh, I've done it a couple times, but I'm not able to do it consistently, repetitively at will. And you might find that a day like today or a transit like this transit actually breaks you through into not only experiencing that, but coming into a super powered understanding of how to further enhance that to the next level. You guys stay blessed as always. And until next time.